Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid 150s over the 80s to the mid 130s over mid 80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019, getting on toward the end of the month here. And we have got lots to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, and opinions. So getting right on into it, the other day, there was a report that came on out about how Chelsea Clinton was very close to Ghislaine Maxwell, rather, and Epstein's ex-girlfriend and the alleged madam who'd been accused of helping him procure underage girls for sex. Well, everybody's trying to, hit the lifeboats on this one as the Epstanic goes nose down. And so Chelsea Clinton had her representative issue a statement denying reports that the former first daughter was close friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. So we're starting to get into this Jeff Who mindset in Washington, D.C. Now, yesterday we talked about how after his prison sentence in county jail down in Florida, Jeff Epstein mounted a public relations campaign. He wanted to polish his image, and he had these puff pieces that were written up, and they were published in places like Forbes and Huffington Post and National Review. Well, following the story that came out highlighting them as part of a public relations campaign, these outlets have now deleted all of the pro-Epstein propaganda. So it's a big blank space when it comes to Epstein. They don't want to be embarrassed trying to puff up his image. They don't want to talk about what it is he's been doing because of all the prominent people who are nervous about this. In fact, Rudolph Giuliani is saying the Epstein case is going to implicate a lot of people. And he may well be right about that. So you have all of these people that Epstein collected. That's what he called it. I collect people. And lured them into his little palaces, lured them into doing something indelicate, and then once he had them on videotape and audio tape, he's got them. And that makes him a perfect intelligence asset and a perfect blackmailer. So let's get on over to our domestic political situation. As you know, tomorrow is when Robert Mueller is going to testify, and they're already hyping it a little too much for my taste. It's like, it's a big setup, and they want us all to watch for the payoff. And so far, all we've been told for certain is that all Robert Mueller would be allowed to testify about is his report. That's it. He's not going to be asked any other questions. And Attorney General Barr was on TV earlier today, basically getting his little screen time in, little face time in. But one of the allegations we have here is that Comey lied to Donald Trump in his position as head of the FBI, in Trump's position as president, Comey lied to Trump saying that he wasn't under investigation, even though Comey was actively pursuing a case. So, if Comey lied to Trump, who is after all a federal official, it's prosecutable as a False Statements Act violation. And it would be kind of lovely if Comey went down with one of those after engineering them for so many other people. And the linkages are coming out, and people are scratching their head and saying, what the heck is going on? So we have Google was conceived, funded, and directed by the Central Intelligence Agency. Google then funded CrowdStrike, the so-called experts behind the Russian hacker story. So how complicit does that make the top echelon of the CIA in this series of lies and duplicity in fomenting the attempted coup against Donald Trump? Because that's what it was. It was an attempted coup d'etat. At the very least, it's sedition. And they're not giving up on it. Apparently, during a speech at the NAACP's annual convention on Monday, Representative Rashida Tlaib promised the crowd, I'm not going nowhere, not until I impeach this president. And apparently for Rashida, good English has went as well. Dan Bongino is out there saying that the Mueller hearing is a golden opportunity for Republicans. Well, I wish I shared his optimism, but I don't. And the reason I don't, as I said before, is this is getting hyped. They want people to tune into this. And I think it's going to be basically a setup. You can only talk about the report. And so I have a feeling that anybody who thought finally Mueller was going to get raked over the coals and ask the tough questions, it's not going to happen. Sorry about that. It's not going to happen. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network and getting on back to the news here. This story bothers me. This came out of TruePundit.com, and it's about a high-profile supervisory special FBI agent named Cincinnati. He's 41 years old, and apparently he worked on cases like the Clinton Foundation, probing their finances. So apparently this Cincinnati was out partying with other colleagues from the FBI at the Container Bar. This is apparently a trendy watering hole in Austin, Texas. And the group had been drinking and dancing, according to sources. Later in the evening, supposedly Cincinnati pulled out his gun and shot himself right in the middle of the dance floor. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right at all. I mean, it's a spectacular hit. Somebody wanted to send a message that didn't get to anybody anywhere. But this, 41 years old, peak of his career, success. They don't give any reason for him to be suicidally depressed. They don't even say he was depressed. There's no note. But I find the fact that he worked on the Clinton Foundation finances compelling, shall we say. All right, you're going to love this next story. A lawsuit filed a while ago by businessman Ed Butowski alleged that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange told Fox News analyst Ellen Ratner the DNC leaked emails were received from Seth Rich and his brother Aaron. Now, due to the scale of the potential ramifications of this story, remember the official story was Russia hacking, there was some valid skepticism about the Butowski assertion. However, recently unearthed footage from Ellen Ratner talking about her interview with Assange in November of 2016 seems to validate what the lawsuit alleges. Assange told Fox News that it was Seth Rich that was leaking the emails, and his brother Aaron. So it was a non-hack hack. We're basically here at about the 3rd anniversary of the WikiLeaks release of the DNC emails. And as has been the case with every other leak revealed by WikiLeaks, it turns out the emails were authentic. WikiLeaks has been very careful about vetting what they have here. And the emails made it unmistakably clear that the DNC had tipped the scales sharply against Democrat Bernie Sanders, giving him a snowball's chance in the dark regions for the nomination. The posting of the DNC emails is also widely seen as having harmed the electoral prospects of Hillary Clinton, who could not escape responsibility completely, while a handful of the very top DNC officials were forced to immediately resign. So that was just about 3 years ago. And now we know it was Seth Rich. Julian Assange told Fox News it was Seth Rich. So now we have a motive for Seth Rich's murder. 2 bullets in the back, wallet not taken, watch not taken, cell phone not taken. It was a hit, plain and simple. It was a hit to silence a leak and to send a message to other potential leakers. Okay. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is out there with another wacko conspiracy theory about President Trump. She is now out there claiming that Trump is trying to get her assassinated. Well, Alexandria, I think if Trump wanted you assassinated, you'd be assassinated. Just having a bunch of people yelling at you doesn't count. All right, so let's turn to the international news and the war zones. The United States has called for the nations of Europe to provide warships for the United States to patrol the Straits of Hormuz and the Gulf to protect the tankers. Great Britain has come back with a counter suggestion that the armada in the Persian Gulf should be led by the European Union. And this is in response, of course, to Britain and Tehran escalating tensions by seizing each other's oil tankers. So speaking before the Parliament, yesterday, Foreign Minister Jeremy Hunt called for a multinational fleet to support safe passage of crew and cargo in and out of the Gulf. Now, rather short on details. We don't know how many nations would be involved. We don't know how many ships would be involved. But Hunt's announcement followed Iran's seizure of a British-flagged oil tanker, Stena Impero, in the Strait of Hormuz, citing violations of maritime traffic rules. This was 2 weeks after British forces confiscated a tanker suspected of carrying Iranian oil to Syria off of Gibraltar. Now, Iran is rejecting Britain's plan for a European protection mission in the Gulf, saying that it will cause more instability. Meanwhile, Europhile member of the European Parliament, Guy Verhofstadt, is out there drooling over the possible creation of a European naval force. One of the things that makes it hard to figure out what's going on is Trump's position on Iran tends to change a lot with little notice. And yesterday he was saying that he doesn't want war with Iran. And he's now saying it could go either way and I'm okay either way it goes. And Trump added, it's getting harder for me to want to make a deal with Iran in the first place because he views them as behaving very badly and the #1 state of terror in the world. Both are nonsense. What behaving very badly means is Iran won't do what they're told by the United States. So Trump followed this all up by announcing new sanctions against China, saying they were intended to punish them for accepting crude oil. This is going to be a bigger problem for the U.S. and China ties than Iran, as Iran is already heavily sanctioned. Here a sanction, there a sanction, everywhere sanction, sanction. All right, there was an interesting little article. This one came out of VoltaireNet. And it's talking about how in the wakes of World War I and World War II, Britain worked to hang on to its empire, didn't want to give it up. And there was a lot of talk about all of these countries that were part of previous imperial powers being made independent sovereign nations. And so England was running around to these countries and setting up central banks and, companies ready to plunder the mineral wealth there. But it looks like London is still trying to defend the shreds of its empire against Iran. And London is ready to go to war to defend its undeserved economic advantages. But if the British were to win this round, a few years later, they would likely lose Suez to the United States. Kind of hard to keep track of all this. Anyway, Iran has announced today it will attend an urgent meeting with countries that are still party to the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, as it declared itself the guardian of security in the Gulf amid the tanker crisis. Now, the July 28th meeting is aimed at salvaging the deal after the United States withdrew from it last year and reimposed sanctions against Iran. The nuclear deal meeting was requested by the European parties to discuss the new situation, referring to Iran's reduced nuclear commitments under the deal in response to the U.S. withdrawal. So at least Iran is getting on out there and is willing to talk here. And there's still a lot of confusion, or to be more accurate, propaganda going on about whether or not the U.S. Navy destroyed an Iranian drone in the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran is denying the claims, saying the statements by the U.S. are quite a big lie, and saying the U.S. might have downed one of their own drones by mistake. Now, the U.S. is out there saying, well, we may have actually destroyed more than one Iranian drone in Hormuz. May have. Don't you know? You've got radar, supposedly. Okay, statement by Donald Trump, and I'm really starting to worry about his state of mind. Apparently yesterday he was having a meeting with representatives from Pakistan to help extricate Washington from the war in Afghanistan. Frankly, I think they ought to just get up and leave the way the Soviets did. But what they're trying to do is figure out a way to leave Afghanistan without making it look like we lost that one, which we did. But apparently when Trump met with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, at the White House, he couldn't resist bragging. He was out there saying, I could win that war in a week. Afghanistan would be wiped off the face of the earth literally in 10 days, but I don't want to go that route. I don't want to kill 10 million people. Instead, Trump said Pakistan will help extricate the U.S. from the long war in Afghanistan the previous administrations got entangled in. So already Trump is out there saying, hey, this was not my mess to begin with, which he's absolutely accurate about that. Over in North Macedonia, as they're getting closer and closer to joining NATO, the U.S. Army is already dumping money, weapons, and training all over their military. And they're currently engaged in an exercise called Decisive Strike. So soldiers with the 56th Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 28th Infantry Division, were part of a 2-month exercise at Krivolak Military Training Center in Krivolak, North Macedonia. Alrighty, we're going to take a phone call now from Terry in California. And Terry, I'm probably going to have to take you through the commercial break. What's on your mind?
No, you won't have to. I'll just make it quick. About Seth Rich, there was a guy on RT News the other night. Sounded like he had credibility. And he was saying that Kim.com had proof on what happened to Seth Rich, and he could prove it and they didn't want to talk to him. Have you heard anything like that?
I heard something about that. I've heard there's a lot of people with information, and it's like the third rail of American politics. It's kind of like how Vince Foster was all those years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay,
Terry,
I think,
do
yeah.
you want to stay on the line?
Bye. No, bye.
All right. We'll be back after these few words.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones here with Frank in North Carolina. Aloha, Frank. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I recall that there was a doctor, I believe, that had made some statement that he had been in contact and seen had something to do with the care and overwatch of Seth Rich, and that he said it didn't make any sense that he died because he was in very stable condition. There was no reason for him to have passed.
Apparently he was shot with a small caliber gun.
Yeah, but there was a doctor. Do you remember that doctor?
I remember
public?
there being a doctor. I don't remember his name.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to switch over to James in Charlotte. Aloha, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I don't know. Well, I'm calling about the same subject. I don't know if I have too much to add to it. I was trying to find that exact statement by that doctor at the hospital in Washington, but Seth Rich also had at least one and possibly two visitors who talked to him that he was conscious. I don't recall. I think one of them was, I'm not sure if it was his brother or a cousin or some relative. And again, like I was saying, I was trying to find that statement by the doctor, but it was not that serious a wound. It was not mortal. It was serious, but not mortal. So,
and then supposedly a whole bunch of cops crowded into the emergency room and kicked all the medical staff out. And the next thing you know, Seth Rich is dead.
Yeah, and they've been trying to get to find out the ID, if they had presented any ID, the supposed law enforcement officers that went in there. They've not been able to identify any of them as yet.
Yeah.
Well, it looks to me there's strong indications that he was murdered in the hospital.
Well, the murder began obviously out there in the streets, and they finished it off in the hospital.
Yeah. Okay, well.
All right,
I hadn't been able to find anything else on it.
Well, if you do, call back in, because I do remember at the time there was quite a bit of stuff going on about people who had inside information, whether it was Kim.com or that doctor. I had somebody else who wrote me an email the other day saying it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Is excuse me, I have to send a note to one of our fellow bloggers that what they're posting on my website is getting a virus warning. So I'm trying to basically deal with that and delete the bad posts here. All right, so getting on back to the international news, the Russian Duma is talking about restarting inter-parliamentary dialogue with Ukraine. And that's a very, very positive sign. The United States is not going to be happy about it because of the strong possibility that Ukraine could once again slide on over and be part of Russia. Certainly many of the people who live in Ukraine want that. That's what was happening back when Yanukovych was in office. And a big part of that whole Kiev bloodbath was to prevent it, to get Ukraine back into the EU and undo all the damage Yanukovych had done. Okay, apparently the United States government came out with this little cartoon, piece of propaganda, to accuse Russia of a violation of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. And they laid it on very thick about how terrible Russia was and how many times Russia had been caught lying about it. And then they issued this little statement about how it's still time for Moscow to come back into full and verifiable compliance with the deal. Unfortunately, the missile system shown in the cartoon was the wrong one. They showed the Iskander-M, which is perfectly legal. There's a little bit of a whoopsie for you. Okay, we're coming up here on another commercial break, and I'm going to be trying to resecure my site here, although it's not my site that's the problem. So stay tuned. Join us on the air, 800-313-9443, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds, up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AROutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AROutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, Mirko. Welcome back to the show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Tony in Puerto Rico. Aloha, Tony. How you doing down there? I mean, there seems to be a lot of violence in the streets. I hope you're well away from it.
Well, actually, it's not violence. Everything's peaceful. People are protesting peacefully. There's a lot of corruption, Mike, but, everything is peaceful. Thanks, God, the protests are peaceful. There's some rowdies, but it's mostly peaceful. Anyway, I'm calling because I have a quick comment, Mike. The United States are more threatened militarily, or they're more threatened cyberly. Cyber threats.
it's kind of a blend of both. I mean, nobody's ever waged a cyber war, although that may be what's going on over in Venezuela right now.
So it's both. Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, and we're going to switch over to John in Vancouver. Aloha, John. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I've been watching you for about 3 years now. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're my best radio host that I like to watch now. And, the world is going to hell in a handbasket now,
Yes.
eh? And
really
I
is.
can see it here from sitting on the island, eh? And just like you, I live on an island. And I've got limited places to go where I need to go and live, and I'd like to get off this island because I feel trapped just like you do. And I just wanted to phone up and just say, hey, man, keep up the good work. And I hope to listen to you in Indiana.
Yes.
And you take care of yourself and your lovely wife.
I certainly will do our best here. And it is an arduous move. We had some more people come over and pick up some stuff. We donated a bunch of stuff to Claire's church. And at this point, we just have to start giving stuff away because that last yard sale was a disaster. When we get to Indiana, we're not going to have a whole heck of a lot of anything with us, just the computers and Claire's musical keyboards. But
keeping her harp?
Yeah, of course I'm keeping her.
No, the harp.
Oh yeah, the harp is going with us as well. In fact, we're having to make special arrangements with the moving company for them to ship it. We were going to send it Yellow Freight. Yellow Freight said no, they didn't want to take it, and which is weird because that's how it got out here on Oahu in the first place. So there's just a lot to do between now and the 15th.
Yeah, I'm a musician myself, and I make music videos and stuff for like other people and stuff.
Yep.
So I got your email, so maybe I can send you some music videos and show you what I'm up to. And it's kind of like a Bible thumping thing if you actually look in the background of the music videos.
Okay.
So maybe Claire would like that.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm sure she will.
Okay, you take care of yourself and have a good move.
All right, we'll do our best here, and we're going to switch over to James in South Carolina. Aloha, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I was looking at Paul Craig Roberts last week. Are you familiar with him?
Yes, very much so.
On his site, he was talking about Sandy Hook. And he said that in the last trial or hearing or whatever it was they had, if I understood it correctly, that the judge did not let the people see the death certificates of the child.
Yes.
He said that two people that saw the death certificates both thought that they were not right. I mean, that they had been messed with. And this was Paul Craig Roberts. Have you heard anything about this?
Yeah, mostly through what's his name, Halbig. And yeah, but there's a lot of very funny things going on about Sandy Hook. The school wasn't actually in use. There was questions about it. The whole thing was a fake up, and I'm one of those people who thinks it was a fake up.
Well, it looks like to me, with all this going on, it would be much easier to prove that something was fraudulent about it than it is. I mean, it just seems very strange. Could you have Fetzer on your show? I would love to hear him.
I've had him on my show before. We sort of disagree over certain issues. And let me think about that one, okay?
Okay. I wish you well, Michael. Thank you.
All right, thanks an awful lot here. And let's go to Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, how you doing there, Mike?
Doing okay.
Mike, about Seth Rich. Now this guy got me going. Now this last caller got me going again about Sandy Hoax. About Seth Rich. There was a private investigator that the family hired. The first family didn't buy the whole thing. I don't think they ever bought it. I think something went down. Either they were paid off or they were threatened. This guy, Rod Wheeler.
Yes.
Private investigator. One time he used to be a homicide investigator for the Washington, D.C. police. He was the right guy to hire for this. Okay?
Yep.
And he dug into this, and the police weren't being cooperative. He said it himself. He was in a couple of interviews, I think, with, what's that guy's name? George Webb and Jason Goodman, you know, those investigative reporters there.
Yes.
Online. And Hannity even was starting to ask questions. And then Hannity overnight changed his mind, said, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Probably because Fox Fake News Network probably threatened to kick his butt off the show. And after that, not too long after that, Wheeler dropped it. Now, Wheeler admitted that the police were, that the police weren't cooperative. And also, what's that woman's name who gave the answers to Hillary during the debate?
Donna Brazile.
Donna Brazile, yeah. Donna Brazile evidently tried to interfere too, and being very cooperative. And he kind of disappeared. I don't think anything happened to him, but he kind of disappeared from view.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mysterious things going on in that. I think it's almost an open and shut case that he was murdered probably by the DNC or by probably the orders of Hillary and James. What's this guy's name? The guy who led the campaign there.
Podesta.
Podesta, yeah, James Podesta. I mean, it's almost a sure thing, and for all intents and purposes, Julian Assange said it because when he was asked about it, he gave a little nod of his head. There's a video of that, and it's almost a sure thing. And yet, this thing is being squashed. And just like when you're talking about the Sandy Hoax case, they getting away with squashing it, and they're suing people. Now, Alex Jones gutlessly, threw in the towel and said, "Oh yeah, no, there were people killed there and everything like that." Wolfgang Halbert got absolute proof, because just on the meals alone, because the food wasn't being sent, the food was being sent to another school. This school was not being used anymore. It had been closed due to a lot of different problems.
Yeah,
and
had a lot of mold.
A lot of asbestos. They had a bunch of problems in there. Leaky, I think. The place it was just falling down. Okay, it was a health hazard. So there's no question that this thing was staged, and Wolfgang, Wolfgang's made out to be, he's a nut, he's this and that. Well, the thing about it, what people forget is Wolfgang Halbig was one of the most reputable school safety experts in the country at the time, before he started asking questions about this.
Yes.
He was a consultant that people, anytime you had something happen, he would be consulted. He actually set up the security system for the and procedures for the school in Cowards County.
Yeah.
He set that up too, and I talked to him about it personally, about Cowards County. My opinion on that is that this was not a false flag in the fact that nobody was killed. People were killed, but it was the FBI who set the whole thing up and did the murdering. I don't know if they actually had agents go in there and start shooting, but I think they hired contractors. And if you noticed before, I don't know if you saw it, of the 4 people in military garb come out of the back there.
Yep.
That was okay. That's who did the shooting. Even a teacher said that. And there were other kids were saying after this first happened that the Army was in there. This was before, by the way, before the police even arrived on the scene or anything else. And of course the police that did arrive on the scene were told to stand down. And they weren't in military garb either. They were regular cops. There was no SWAT team there at that point. This is it's so obvious, and yet nobody investigates it. Like, this is what disturbs me about what's going on in this country. This is why I'm not so sure that we're going to get even with Epstein in jail now, I'm not so sure we're going to really get to the bottom of this.
No, the system will always protect itself. And I learned that the hard way, unfortunately.
People need to wake up, Mike. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country left. We're really not. I don't, people worry about China. Well, you should worry about China because China evidently doesn't have this kind of corruption. I'm not saying they don't have any corruption, but from what I understand, when they find you corrupt in China, they'll put you in front of a firing squad.
Yep.
And Russia's a lot less corrupt than we are these days also. So, we're worried about all these other countries. We should worry because they will take us off. Well, they won't take us over, but they will surpass us. And they will, and we're going to turn into a third world banana republic. That's where we're going.
We're already there. I mean, if you look at the streets of San Francisco or Los Angeles, and now apparently even Austin, Texas is deteriorating. And we are going third world. And when you bring the third world into your country, the third world problems come with it.
Well, it's not just the third world problems, but it's the mentality of the so-called rulers of this country, and also the people of this country just not seemingly care. Seemingly, just ready to go with the program, okay, and believing everything they're told. That's another big problem. I don't know, Mike. I'm afraid we're in trouble. I really less hope for the future of this country, and it really hurts me because, like I said, I'm up there in age. You and me up there in age and stuff like that. But I got two kids, young, and I got 2 very young grandkids. So I'm concerned for them. Okay, kind of world they're inheriting today. So it really disturbs me, Mike. It really does.
Well, it disturbs me as well. I mean, to have watched it happen over the last close to 30 years.
The thing is this: when you see it happening and you understand what's going on, it's really disturbing. Because if I was, it's kind of like the Matrix. If I just said, "Oh, well, I don't know nothing about this," go to sleep and do what I have to do. Take care of my business and say, who cares? Or maybe that would be the smartest thing to do. But I do care. It bothers me. It disturbs me. Fortunately, I got my, I eat healthy. I work out all the time. I have other hobbies and stuff like that. I do have my grandkids I like to go see. I have my dogs I like to play with. And, I live up in the mountains away from a lot of this garbage.
Yeah.
So that's how I keep saying. But it is disturbing. It is disturbing. And I try to pass the message around. I try to be a citizen journalist. That's what, really spreading the information around your citizen journalist. I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post it on Twitter. I'll post it wherever I can. I tell people I know. I tell family. I tell friends. And it's the most I can do, Mike. Just like, I don't have the voice that you do. You have the that station here. I don't have that, but I try everything I can. And but I'm losing more and more hope for this country, Mike. I really am.
Well, I've lost all hope for this country. That's why I keep saying we have to wait for the crash. It's going to come crashing down economically, politically, hopefully not militarily. but I think it might do the United States some good to get its nose bloodied in one of these foreign wars, and just wake them up and say,
but
we
I
can't
don't-
keep on going the same way.
But I don't want to see our soldiers have to suffer for the sins of the corporate elite.
They're already suffering. We're all suffering for the sins of the corporate elite, whether it's soldiers in the field or kids being forced vaccinated or our food being sprayed with pesticide that causes brain damage. We're already suffering for the greed of the corporate elites.
But one thing I do hope, Mike, if it does come to that,
Yeah.
I want to see them hanging by lampposts. I want to see them hanging by the dozen by lampposts. Okay, and I want it done on public TV, internet, wherever else. And I do think they should get a short trial. Said this is what you did, this and this little bit. It's kind of like when the Ayatollah Khomeini first took over in Iran, what he did to the Shah's people. He gave them quick trials and then hung them right in front of, right in public.
All right,
and
well,
I'd
Mark,
like to see something like that.
Mark, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We've got other callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice ensure domestic tranquility. Provide for the common defense. Promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go right out to the phones here to Scott in California. Aloha, Scott. Thank you for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. You opened your show with that thing about Seth Rich, the DNC. And,
Yes.
yeah, I went over to your website, saw a little reference, but I found a larger explanation of it all at a website called The Post and Email, and it's a lady named Sharon Rondo.
Okay.
And she really digs into it. Amazing stuff. But I was just looking at your website, and I thought somebody could take a snapshot just of your website, put it into one of those cylinders where they save it for the future.
Yeah,
And some
time
future
capsule.
historian could dig through it. And, yeah, time capsule and wonder what the hell happened to America. Anyway, man, this is heavy stuff. You wonder where that's going to go in court. And then you just had a previous caller about Americans, and I'm traveling through California, so I bumped into the CHP officer. We got to talking about things, including Sandy Hook, and he knows that was fake. And I said, well, how about the people? What are you running into? And he goes, the people are numb. Because that's what I see. People are just numb from all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, yep, thanks for your work. And that DNC thing is explosive, but then, they contain explosions, don't they? Okay, Michael, thanks.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Art off the grid. Aloha, Art. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, that bumper music there, We the People in Order to Form More Perfect Union?
Yeah.
I wonder how many people remember that song dating back to every Saturday morning during the cartoon hours. That was all part of Schoolhouse Rock.
Yes.
I wonder how many people actually remember that. Anyway, I know the memory of people is pretty, these days. So probably not many. Anyway, wanted to talk about Miss Erica Thomas. Have you heard about her?
No.
Okay, Miss Erica Thomas. She is the Georgia State House of Representative legislator for District 39, which is the southern tip of Cobb County. And there was this big news blow up about a week ago, and I've been following this because I wanted to wait and see where it led, because something told me, I'm watching the video, she's standing side by side with the guy that she claims used a racist comment to her as they were standing in the checkout lane at a Publix. Now, supposedly she was in a line where the sign says 10 items or less, but she's got 15 items, and she's using the excuse that the reason she went to that lane was because she's pregnant and can't stand on her feet too long. And this white guy who went through the line ahead of her paid for his stuff, and then he asked the manager if there was anything that could be done about people with more items using the lane that's only, supposed to be an express item. And the manager said, well, our company policy doesn't allow us to say anything to the customer, but I guess you could say something if you wanted to. So he went, supposedly, he says, he went back and he said, ma'am, I don't mean to be rude. My words, right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And they're standing side by side and they're talking very common plain. Well, we just learned.
I got to put you on hold. For station identification. Don't hang up. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Art Off the Grid, and Art was telling us a story about this altercation at a supermarket when one of the customers apparently took 15 items to the 10-item lane, and another customer was a little put out about it. So, Art, just pick up the story where you left off.
Okay, so anyway, he says that he walked up very nice and politely, "Ma'am, I don't mean to be rude or anything like that." However, and he expressed his displeasure with her abusing the 10-item or less when she had 15 plus items. Well, she claims that he walked up and said, "Hey, you B-I-T-C-H, you son of a B-I-T-C-H,"
Yep.
And cussed her and was all rude and obnoxious. And what I found interesting was during this whole interview, they're standing outside the store, both of them standing side by side, being interviewed together, and they're both acting very calm and relaxed and respectful and blah, 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 blah. But she doesn't say anything about his rude comments until she gets home and decides that she's going to go public, so she's going to get on whether Twitter or wherever, and she's all in tears and she's boo-hooing, and I'm thinking, okay, first of all, she's standing there side by side with this guy being respectful and all that while she's being interviewed by the news, but then she goes home and she's all broken up in tears and she just can barely keep her composure, and something just doesn't seem right with this, and so I follow this for the past week, waiting, and all of a sudden, bam, I get up this morning, and what do we learn? The whole thing was a hoax. This is a Democrat state representative. She's a state legislator for the state of Georgia, 39th District, Southern Cobb County. The whole thing was made up, and what's really interesting was, and this is one of the things that caught me right at the very beginning, was they never gave the man's name.
Yeah.
Didn't give any information, just that he was rude and obnoxious and was racist. But it turns out this guy is a Democrat, anti-Trumper, hates Trump with a passion. The whole thing turned out to be a lie and a fraud. Folks, this is what we're dealing with. They are literally creating their own narratives now and staging these little racist tidbits, whatever you want to call them, at your local grocery stores and places like that. Seriously? This is what we're dealing with. This is the degree to which they've taken this. So as far as I'm concerned, they can scream somebody was racist or what. I don't believe it. You're lying. I am so sick of this. Every time this crap comes up, all we need is a week to prove it was a lie.
Yep.
Every this. And I'm going to say, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm 56 freaking years old. I survived the race riots of the 60s and 70s. I survived all of the crap that we went through during those time periods, and it wasn't fun. And I don't want to repeat it again. But we had a nice 20, 25 years. I traveled all around this country for 30-plus years. But we had a good 20, 25 years. Race was never a problem. I have been from coast to coast, from southern border to northern border. There's very few places, very few states in this country I've not been to. I think there's only 5 states I've not been to. One is Hawaii, one is Alaska, and the other 3 are continental. Oh, I'm sorry, Puerto Rico is one of them. So the other 2, there's only like a couple continental states I've never been to, but I've been to all of the others. I've had 33 years of getting to play all around this country, and I have never seen race as an issue like we see it today. And where did it all begin? It began in Washington, when the politicians in Washington decided to rehash an old argument that failed in the 60s, it failed in the 70s, and it should be failing today. Why in the hell is this such a problem? Because it takes politicians to make things a problem. All of this gay crap that we've seen over the past 5 years or so, homosexuality was really not a problem. Gay bias really was not a problem until some jackass politician made it a problem.
Yes.
Folks, this is what we're dealing with. This is where we stop it. And if we don't stop it, we're done. The American experiment will have failed. And like your previous caller and you, Mike, I have all but given up hope on saving this country. I'm at the point where I'm beginning to believe it's just not worth saving. Let's get on. Let's have a revolution. Let's spill the blood we got to spill, hang the bastards we need to hang, and move on.
Yep. You're absolutely right. You know, I've been watching this country deteriorate and rot away for close to 30 years. Actually, longer than that if you go back to the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And I was very, in hindsight, very naive. And I thought that there was the occasional bad person in government. And then I had my little situation with Vince Foster, and I began to see how incredibly corrupted all the way through and through that government is. Basically, it looks like the merging of government with organized crime. They seem to operate like an organized crime gang.
The corporation.
With the corporations, hand in hand, hand in glove with the corporations and the intelligence agencies.
It's just a big criminal cartel.
Yep.
And we are just pawns.
Makes El Chapo look like a piker.
Yeah, right. Anyway, Mike, appreciate it. Have a great one.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. And the phone lines are open. 800-313-9443. We're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network here. Getting on back to the international news, the war of words between Ankara and Washington, D.C. is escalating, and Ankara has warned it will retaliate in kind if the U.S. imposes sanctions on Turkey over its purchase of Russian S-400 defense systems, while Moscow has hinted at a potential expansion of defense cooperation with Turkey. Now, the first deliveries of the Russian S-400 defense systems arrived earlier in July as part of this deal, which the U.S. hated. And after the deliveries began, the U.S. cut Turkey off from its F-35 program, stating that the stealth fighter cannot coexist along the Russian air defense systems. Well, they may have just done Turkey a big favor. So, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said in an interview, "If the United States portrays an adversarial attitude toward us, we will take retaliatory measures as we've told them. This is not a threat or a bluff." Now, the other day we were talking about how down in Israel there were some illegal home demolitions by Israeli soldiers, and they were enjoying it and, you know, laughing, which I guess when Israelis blow something up, they like to dance around it. And so they were out there celebrating their victory. Meanwhile, over at the New York Times, they reported on the demolition. They couldn't ignore the story. There were simply too many homes involved. But once again, tried to spin the story to present Israel's brutal actions in the best possible way and muffle the voices of the victims. So this is Isabel Kirshner, and I guess she's got the Israel beat, but she's biased. We're seeing this bias all over the place here. Over in the Western Pacific, we have a situation here where South Korea is claiming that warning shots were fired after Russian military aircraft violated their airspace. Now, this is South Korea, not North Korea. The Republic of Korea's Air Force fired warning shots after Russian military aircraft allegedly violated the country's airspace twice early today. This according to Yonhap news agency reports, citing officers from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. South Korean F-15K and KF-16 fighter jets were scrambled after 2 Chinese and 3 Russian aircraft approached the Republic of Korea Air Defense Identification Zone over the Sea of Japan on Tuesday morning. While the Chinese only entered the identification zone, one of the Russian aircraft allegedly flew too close to the islets of Dokdo and actually breached the South Korean airspace twice for about 3 minutes, forcing South Korean forces to fire the warning shots. I would have thought getting on Guard Channel and just saying, hey, get out of here would be good enough. Anyway, Moscow has a slightly different view of the incident, saying that the Russian bombers did not violate airspace and the South Korean pilots acted unprofessionally, and that they were dangerously crossing the path of the Russian bombers who were on a routine mission over international waters. So, hard to know who's telling the truth and who's lying here. But all it's going to take is one mistake. It's going to be incredible. Up in North Korea, leader Kim Jong-un inspected a large, newly built submarine, according to state news agency KCNA. That happened early today, and the significance is that it may signal continued development of a submarine-launched ballistic missile program, which we know that North Korea was working on. They've already built one submarine that can fire, I think it's 2 sub-launched ballistic missiles. So Kim inspected the operational and tactical data and combat weapon systems of the new submarine that was built under, quote, his special attention, end quote, and will be operational in the waters off the East Coast. KCNA said the submarine's operational deployment was near. Looks like they're at the point of kicking the tires on this thing. Okay. Russian and Chinese strategic bombers have flown their first mission together over the Sea of Japan and the East China Sea. Tokyo and Seoul are up in arms, but Moscow points out it's all within international rules and regulations. 2 Russian Tupolev 95 MS and 2 Chinese Xi'an H-6 bombers patrolled a pre-planned route above the Sea of Japan and the East China Sea, strictly in accordance with international law. Now, Seoul is claiming the bombers breached its air defense identification zone. Moscow insists this designation is not supported by international rules and that no third country's airspace was violated. Over in China, their riots are getting more and more violent. Apparently, there's the Chinese equivalent of the brown shirts who are running in and attacking the protesters with steel rods, just beating the heck out of them at a Hong Kong train station. So anyway, down in Puerto Rico, hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans have taken to the streets of San Juan. They're protesting for the governor to step down, and the protests are growing because Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rossello is vowing to stay in office. Now, he has announced he's not going to run for re-election, but he's refusing to leave office. Meanwhile, the police in Puerto Rico are using soft rubber bullets and tear gas at protesters. And apparently more than 500,000 people took to the streets of San Juan yesterday. Officers moved in at around 11 p.m. to break up those still in the old city. So Governor Rossello is saying he will not seek re-election, and he is stepping down as head of the new Progressive Party. So the pressure's building on him. Apparently, Governor Ricardo Rosselli was given an interview on Fox News, and it didn't go very well. He came across as not fully prepared for the very difficult questions he faced. That's bad, bad stuff here. Okay, over in Venezuela, Venezuela's Communications Information Minister Jorge Rodriguez has released a video proving that, yes, in point of fact, the U.S. spy plane, an EP-3E, had in fact violated Venezuelan airspace a second time in 3 days, and the total of 78 such violations have taken place since the start of this year, and that's why they sent the Venezuelan Sukhoi 30 out there to basically chase it out of their space. Of course, the U.S. is saying, no, of course not. We wouldn't violate anybody's armed space. The Venezuelans are being unprofessional. Now, as we mentioned during the show yesterday, Venezuela suffered another massive blackout, most of the country. And oddly enough, according to the story in Russia Today, the preliminary probe into the incident has suggested the existence of an electromagnetic attack that sought to affect the hydroelectric generation system of Guyana, the main provider of this service in the country. So authorities are struggling to resolve the crisis. Meanwhile, the U.S.-backed opposition leader Juan Guaido is exploiting the power outage to once again attack his political opponent, accusing President Maduro of destroying the country's electrical system. Of course, he's got to wait for the power to come back on before he can do that here. Alrighty, here's a little bit of a whoopsie, and the U.S. is saying it probably isn't all that big of a deal, but the European Space Agency published information on the location of secret U.S. reconnaissance satellites in geostationary orbit using data provided by Russian research centers. So according to a status report on geosynchronous objects as of January 1st, 2019, based on orbital data in ESA's DISCOS database and orbital data provided by Russia's JSC Vimpel Interstate Corporation, the Keldysh Institute for Applied Mathematics and the JSC Astronomical Scientific Center, out of the 1,578 objects for which orbital data are available, 529 are actively controlled, 831 are drifting above, below, or through the geosynchronous plane, 195 are in a libration orbit, and 21 are in a highly inclined orbit. In particular, the ESA document pinpoints the location of secret U.S. satellites, including GSAP, Orion, Mercury, and Clio, which have not been cataloged by U.S. Stratcom. So they're out there. All right, let's grab ourselves a phone call. James in Vancouver, welcome to the show. I may have to take you through the next commercial break. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, yesterday you mentioned something about the Boeing engineers that got laid off or fired. Is that?
Yeah. Well, it was a phone call that we received and also followed up by an article basically saying that, you know, Boeing has created a huge mess by firing the trained, experienced white male engineers and replacing them with lower paid people from other countries who have the H-1B1 visas, but they don't have the experience and training that the people they replaced did.
This is not a good deal.
No, and this could kill Boeing. If not, it's definitely going to be limping for years.
You're probably you knew about the great Kelly Johnson of Lockheed, right?
Yes, Clarence.
Yeah, well, guys like that are not not so easy to find, and it behooves the aircraft companies to hang on to people like that.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. I mean, the 737 MAX is a disaster. People don't want to fly in it anymore. Boeing's long-term economic figures are being downgraded by the various ratings agencies. And frankly, the article that we wrote the other day really says it all. If that plane isn't flying now, it's never going to fly. They can't fix that problem. Because it's just...
myself, yeah.
Okay, listen, we got to take a break for commercials, James. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these few words.
AncientLifeOil.com. For your CBD needs, just remember, AncientLifeOil.com. What does it do for the body, you ask? I can't say to the people in the suits that run the industry. Big Pharma's all over CBD because of its well, you know what I mean. Research the benefits of CBD on Google and come back to AncientLifeOil.com and purchase your CBD today. Non-GMO and all organic. You don't want to be using a petroleum product. You want to be using the cleanest CBD product on the market, AncientLifeOil.com. We even have CBD for your pet. Help your pet's discomfort. Help your discomfort. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Newly reduced prices to pass off the savings to the most important person, you. AncientLifeOil.com. And one more thing, we have topicals too. So if you have joint pain and some different issues that are going on in your body, you might want to use a topical. Think about it. AncientLifeOil.com.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're talking with James in Vancouver. We're talking about the possible future for Boeing and how all of these H-1B visas flooding into the country they may be less expensive for these companies to use, but they're not producing the same quality work. And I think that the Boeing 737 MAX really proves that. And a lot of people are now getting very nervous about all the Boeing products because they've all had problems lately that go back to the design and engineering. Now, some can be fixed with retrofitted equipment, but this mistake they made with these super large engines pushed forward on the wing, I don't know if that's got an easy solution. Anyway, James, sort of take it away here.
Well, yeah, they changed the engine mounts, I think, and you can't do that and still have the same weight and balance that you had before. I'm a commercial pilot, but I don't fly jets. But one of my instructors ended up flying jets, and he said to me that the weight and balance on a jet is much more complicated than if you're flying, say, a twin-engine Cessna or something
Yes.
like that. So it was bad enough to do weight and balance for, say, a Cessna, but someone who designed that is not a pilot. Okay, I think this is, or they just don't have the time put into they don't have that practical experience or that know-how. You see,
Yeah.
Just what it sounds like to me. If I may, there's another thing I wanted to ask about. Elon Musk apparently a couple of days ago said that by next year we can all go down to the shopping mall, if I understood it correctly, and we can all get implants. Did you hear about that?
Are you talking about his project to interface computers to our brain?
Well, yeah, he called it neural something. I mean, it sounded,
Okay.
neural. You heard that? Did you?
I did hear that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, you mentioned yesterday in the program that many of the U.S. service people are committing suicide,
Yes.
or a high percentage. And I'm wondering if these enlisted people don't have that set up already.
Well, I mean, the military puts the conscripts through, I mean, there's basic training, there's mandatory force medication, much of which is experimental, and then, of course, there's the combat experience itself.
Yeah. Well, I think they should back off on some of that experimental stuff because I knew guys in combat in Vietnam, and I mean, I mean, this is taking it to these guys have a job to do, and playing around with them, I don't think that's a fair game. I think, if they're expected to go into combat and they're expected to endure a stressful situation, and they shouldn't be played with. This is my point.
Well, I don't think it's as much a matter of playing with them as trying to find the best combination to create the soldier of the future. And unfortunately, the military brass does have a tendency to view the individual soldier or sailor or air person as a disposable unit.
Yeah, but that's not going to work either, I think. I think we both know that. That's not the way, that's not going to do anything for the country in the long run. Look at all the wars. I mean, what I'm getting at is that presumably they should learn from one generation to another, right? That, the military people, they're an asset to the country, and retired military or people who've been in combat, this should be looked at more as an asset rather than, we'll just get rid of them. You see what I'm saying?
Well, the military is a self-perpetuating entity. That's why Eisenhower called it the military-industrial complex. And as long as they have access to so much money, and as long as Congress gets their kickbacks and campaign contributions, the big money is always going to win. And the only way that's ever going to change is if we do get into a major war that we lose.
Yeah, I understand that, but well, I mean, Ike knew a lot about what was going on, that's for sure, and it may have been why some people told me, at least my friends down in the States, they said that Ike was the best president we ever had. So,
Well, he was certainly one of the most anti-war presidents we had because he'd seen what war was. Okay, we got to let you go here, James. We're going to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And apparently, the military is engaged in some kind of secret operation around Washington, D.C., and apparently it included helicopters. And Apparently, the Pentagon accidentally exposed this classified flight mission while requesting funds from Congress. Apparently, they're running out of money. They need another $1.5 million to pay for air crews and maintenance for 10 Black Hawk helicopters to be run out of a base near Washington, D.C. So the mission is secret enough to require a sensitive, compartmented information facility to be built at Davison Army Airfield in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, 20 miles from the Capitol. Now, SCIFs are ultra-secure facilities that allow their occupants to handle classified material without concern for electronic eavesdropping or any other interception. I think they used to call them Tempest vaults. All right, turning to the economic news here, Rashida Tlaib, not happy with a $15 minimum wage, is now out there saying it should be a $20 federal minimum wage. And apparently one other Democrat wannabe is signing on to that one as well. Now, it's a complex issue because we keep hearing that higher wages and salaries are putting a stress on employers. And on the other hand, if we don't get more money into the hands of the American worker, they're not going to be able to buy the products that are being sold in those stores anyway. I think a big part of the problem are the sky-high salaries of the upper management, and that there does need to be a rebalancing, if you will. All right, all the way back on January 8th, 1835, there was an announcement made. Gentlemen, the national debt is paid. And that is the only time it was ever said in this government. And it took 174 years for the U.S. government debt to rack up to an eye-watering $11 trillion in 2009. Then it took only another 10 years to double that. What's wrong with this picture? Well, to politicians, it's like it's not their money. They just raised the debt ceiling for 2 years. And I'll make a prediction right now. It won't come back down. Trump backed off on this, the spending cuts that were supposed to happen. Kind of makes it like the word budget doesn't even apply anymore. But we're not going to have another record-setting government shutdown. And, you know, the White House had demanded major spending cuts in exchange for a new budget deal, but they backed down on that one. So instead of the $150 billion in new spending cuts recently demanded by White House Acting Budget Director Russell Voigt, the agreement would include a significantly lower amount of reductions. And these reductions aren't expected to represent actual spending cuts, in part because most would take place in future years and likely be reversed by Congress at a later date. They're just going through the motions. The problem with our economy here isn't how much money the billionaires have, it's how much the politicians are spending. And they spend like it's no tomorrow because they don't have to pay it back. They want military toys and they want their emoluments here. All right, let's grab a phone call. Kevin in West Virginia, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mr. Mike. You were talking about minimum wage a little while ago, and I agree with everything that you're saying. But I have a thing that I say, and I'm curious if you agree with what I think. And my saying goes, I'm all for equal opportunity, but I'm not for equal outcomes because you have to put the work in. I agree there should be an equal ball field, playing field, but I don't agree with everybody ending with the same result because you have to put in what you want out of it. And that goes with life and that goes with everything.
Well, in theory, if you're doing an excellent job, you'd get a raise above the minimum wage.
You're absolutely right. I mean, but there's nothing all for. I mean, I hear it all the time. We should all for equality. Sure, I can go along with that, but I'm not for equal outcomes. Not even at the slightest. Because you got to work for what you want.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And unfortunately, going all the way back to affirmative action, equality of outcome was determined to be politically more expedient than equality of opportunity, because you couldn't really prove the opportunities were equal. You'd have people saying, "Oh, I'm still at a disadvantage. I'm still this. I'm still that." So instead, they settled for equality of outcome. And that, of course, disincentivized the entire country.
Totally. I want to throw something out at you, what I'm personally trying to do. Of course, you know that I'm losing my eyesight due to this disease I have. Yeah. I'm trying to get the state to go to Little Rock, Arkansas, for me to get training on life skills and things like that, so I can become independent, so I can be, give back. I'm tired of being on Social Security and only getting $1,000 a month. I'm better than that. And I just want to give back for people that helped me, but I can't even get the state to get the training that I need. I mean, this is, we're too busy worrying about how the illegals and this. Here, I'm a natural-born citizen. I didn't ask to lose my eyesight. I'm just asking for help so I can give back to the country. I mean, that's what I thought our Social Security system was for, not to be a handout for everybody. I mean, that's
well, Kevin, technically that money you're getting in that check from Social Security is your money to begin with. So it's not really a handout. It's not supposed to be dealt with like it's a handout.
Right. I mean, that's the issue that I'm having, and I'm trying my butt off to get down the road to get what I need, because there's nothing. I live really close to D.C. There's nothing here for me. Nothing. I'm going to come back to a place, to a little country town, get in trouble, or wind up in, just ended up doing, because that's the only thing that's here. I mean, I'm everybody hear my plea. I'm trying to get help, and this is what our country's turned into. The people that need the help, we can't get it. We just can't get it. And we need it.
Yeah, all the help is going to the illegal immigrants and the refugees. I mean, they're getting better treatment. They're getting better treatment from the government than legal American citizens.
I mean, I just wanted to throw that out there and have something personal for you, for somebody else, for you and everybody else to see. Wow, blind guy trying to get help, and the state won't even help. And I'm stuck in society's cracks. And here I'm pushed off to the sides, like, you know what, you're no useful for the state. Go over here and don't bother us. That's what this government has made me personally feel like. I know that's wrong, but that's how I feel like I've been treated. And I'm a natural-born citizen here, and I can't get the help because somebody who's not supposed to be here gets priority, or over somebody like me. And I'm a young guy, Mr. Mike. I'm only 35. I'm young. I should have done this years ago to get the help that I needed, but now I'm actually grown up a little bit and took my head out of my butt and just trying to do the right thing. Just trying. And this is how hard it is for somebody in this country. Like I said, I'm all for equal opportunity, but not for equal outcomes. I just want to be able to get on the ball field. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the phone call, and I wish you a lot of luck, and I hope that somebody does step in and give you just enough of a boost to get you down the road, get you the training that you need to do what you're going to do. So thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. Excuse me for a second. Talking about the economic news here, a lot of people are still looking at Deutsche Bank and studying just how it got from there to here. Deutsche Bank, of course, is back in the news because of their 18,000 job cuts. But you need to understand that a decade ago during the financial crisis, Deutsche Bank got a Federal Reserve bailout of $354 billion. And again, I think all of this bailout and money printing and money creation is indicative of a flawed process. Okay, story, and I mentioned this earlier, this is reported in Russia Today. International ratings agencies Fitch and Moody's have downgraded their outlooks for Boeing aircraft from stable to negative, citing uncertainty and delays in the plane maker's 737 MAX jets return to service. I'd say there'd be uncertainties. If they're not flying now, I don't think they will be. So the revision follows Boeing's nearly $5 billion in quarterly losses related to the grounding of the jets over 2 recent deadly crashes. The MAX situation also presents significant public relations challenges, and the impact on Boeing's reputation and brand will be a watch item for the next year or more. I would say easily 5 years. It estimates that consolidated debt for the company will rise by almost $10 billion to nearly $24 billion by the end of this year. So somebody was being penny wise and pound foolish. They saved a few bucks on those salaries for these H-1B workers, and they've created aircraft that have serious problems. The Dreamliner had problems. The 737 MAX has problems. We don't know what's going to happen with the 777X. But I would say that somebody needs to really go over those airframes. But again, the problem with the 737 MAX, it's fundamental to the airflow. That guy who called in, who was a commercial pilot, he's absolutely right. When you're figuring out load and airflow and center of gravity and center of lift, it's one thing on a slow little, Cessna, and it's quite another on a big jet, where the mere flow of air across the surface creates its own aerodynamic pressure. And where they've erred is getting these larger engines that are supposed to be more fuel efficient, and rather than raise up the landing gear or some other solution, they simply push these engines out on their nacelles out to the front of the wing. So they're leading the wing rather than mostly under the wing. And they extended the nose gear a little bit as well. That took care of the engines clearing the ground, but it creates a problem because now those engine nacelles, those are catching the air. And they're going to push up. And if you're also got that avionics issue, where you're getting the angle of attack unmatched warning, which these planes didn't have installed, yeah, you can spin that plane out of control very quickly. Alrighty, down in Minnesota, there was this millionaire who made headlines last year when he revealed he was able to collect $300 a month in food stamps for over 19 months using a loophole in the USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Now, property owner Rob Undersander from Waite Park, Minnesota, really ruffled feathers in his home state when he applied for and received SNAP benefits despite owning $1 million in assets. Undersander didn't need the assistance. In fact, he donated the funds to his church and other charities. He just wanted to show that there was, in fact, waste within the system. So the Democrats are now very angry that he exposed the system was less than perfect. And now Donald Trump is pursuing a rule change that would cut down on the waste and remove 3.1 million people from food stamps. They're going to have to prove their income need. They're going to have to pass a review of their income and assets to find out if they're eligible for free food from SNAP, which I think is going to be a good thing. because we do know that there are people out there who like to cheat the system. The only free food I ever got from the church was from the government rather, was my Reagan cheese. And it was good cheese. GNC, General Nutrition Centers, is planning to close up to 900 stores, nearly half of them in mall locations. We have one down here at the bottom of the hill. So this Pittsburgh-based health and wellness chain says that nearly half of the closures will happen in mall locations. Nearly 200 stores have already been shut down so far this year. GNC currently has 4,100 locations nationwide. So they're getting ready to close down almost a quarter of their locations. Now, Nissan is slashing over 10,000 jobs globally. That's 7% of its entire workforce. And a lot of industry experts were looking at Retail-mageddon or Car-mageddon and saying it's a temporary hiccup. Obviously, Nissan disagrees, and they are massively cutting costs. So, yeah, Claire and I were passing the little car lot down here at the bottom of the hill. It's just full of cars. They're all getting dusty. Anyway, over in Bradenton, Florida, this guy was panhandling. And this owner of a landscape business offered to pay him $15 an hour to do yard work. The panhandler said no. So the man came back with his own sign saying, I offered him $15 an hour for work, and he said no. We've got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
So, have you heard of heavy metals? I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. No, not cleansing the outside of your body, but cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And I sort of teased this in a phone call earlier. And we know that these leftist-run cities like Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles have been in the news in recent months because of policies that aid and abet homelessness. And these policies focus on the decriminalization aspect of homelessness. Local police and enforcement agencies are no longer empowered to clear the streets and keep public areas free of the filth, debris, trash, drug paraphernalia, disease, rodents, and human waste created by these masses of humanity. But apparently the liberal enclave of Austin in Deep Red, Texas is now showing the same symptoms, which is basically telling us all this is in fact politics. It's the political philosophy that leads in this direction. Okay, we're going to grab a phone call from Eric in Tennessee. Aloha, Eric. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael, you always said that all wars are bankers' wars, correct?
Yep.
Well, the best way to get away from that is quit using the bankers and you start using the cryptocurrencies.
Well, it might have an effect. Unfortunately, most of your corporations, I mean, I'd like to see the Federal Reserve go away. Okay, but
well, I would too.
Like the military-industrial complex, Wall Street protects itself at all costs.
Well, that's for sure. That's for sure. Hey, another point. When you guys get to Indiana, I hope you have a place to go to, and if you don't, you have a place here. We talked about that before.
Yes, we did.
But I do have plenty of winter clothing for Claire especially, and I probably could dig out some things for you too. So you won't have to worry about buying a bunch of winter clothing.
Well, Eric, I really appreciate it. We've got our family in Indiana. They're already looking at rental properties for us to get us all set up. The biggest situation is it's just a huge amount of work to get this place cleaned out, and our moving company is showing up. To take what we're going, and we have to leave most of what we have behind. That's
now,
just the reality.
How much do you pay, like a freight shipping charge on like a box thing to put stuff on a ship to ship it over?
Well, no, we hired a moving company. We hired a moving company because Claire and I are physically not able to carry a lot of this stuff, and we don't have anybody helping us at this end. And also, this company, they'll actually wrap things like the TV sets, and it's covered by insurance. So if they drop and break something, we can get a replacement at the other end. In fact, they even made a point of saying anything that we pack for ourselves will not be covered by the insurance. So I'm going to let them pack up the computers.
Yeah, let them pack everything. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, but there's still the stuff that we're not taking that I got to find a new home for and give it away. And, I wrecked my back a couple of weeks ago. It's taking a very long time to heal. And of course, Claire's back is, yeah, it's rough. Anyway,
I do understand that. I've done that myself.
Eric, we're going to be hitting the ground in Indiana right about the 1st of September. And I'm sure that Claire would be very grateful for any warm clothes because she doesn't handle the cold very well. All right, we got to take a break.
Just email me or...
I certainly will. I kept your address. It's in the move file. We got to take a break for station identification.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're going to take a phone call from Paul in New Jersey. Aloha, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Michael, I'd like to bang my class warfare drums because, as it is, class warfare is a two-way street. When people talk about price of housing, well, part of the reason why housing's so expensive today is because the many migrants that the elite advocate bringing in, so they push wages down and then drive up demand for housing. When people complain about stagnant wages, again, the elite are behind bringing in these legions of unskilled laborers from third world countries with the motive of pushing down wages so the wealthy remain wealthier and get wealthier. And they have been over the past 40 years in this country because, as Page and Gillens have proven, they're from Princeton.
Yeah.
And they came out with an article proving that the United States is an oligarchy. We're not really ruled by a democracy. We don't vote our way in because our congressmen are paid off by wealthy patrons and lobbyists. And that's the reality of the situation. Now, my wife, she worked at an airport down in Trenton. It was for private planes, and they would service the private jets of the elite classes. And
Yes.
so, many different elitists would fly in and out of this airport. My wife observed the behavior of these wealthy. And an interesting part about this is Johnson & Johnson, is a very big American corporation. They're very
Yes.
wealthy. And the people who run J&J, get this, just to mention this to the former caller, they didn't get there by hard work. They got there by being born in the right family. That's how they got there.
Yes.
They inherited a lot of this. Okay, so a lot of the wealthy people that control many of these things, if they're not directly in the family and inherit the wealth, they go or are networked into the right colleges and schools and get in with the right boys club, and then they're in. Many of them get kicked up the ladder. It's not all a matter of making it on your own or holding your nose to the grindstone. Many of them luck out, like I would argue in the case of Bill Gates. Much of his wealth is serendipitous. And also because I think the federal government should, at some point nationalize these technological gains. I thought it was 17 years and your copyright expires. I used to think that.
It used to be that way.
Yeah, and I think the copyright for Windows should be made into a public commodity, just given out freely. He's made billions of money already. I think enough is enough, and just let the public share it as for the common good. So some of these issues are very
well, that's why there's open source and why Linux is so popular. But the copyright laws were changed by no less than the Walt Disney Corporation, which had, of course, invested a huge amount in the copyrighted character of Mickey Mouse, and the copyright was running out. And so Walt Disney filed a lawsuit to get the laws changed so that they could keep the copyright on Mickey Mouse forever. And
yeah, now, my wife at the airport, she observed, like in the case of Johnson & Johnson, not only do they have their own private jet, they have their own private hangar. They have so many jets, they don't know what to do with them. And they're flying back and forth for the most petty and just superficial reasons, forgetting, it's almost like Bono forgetting his hat. I mean, flying their dog back because they left the dog at the vet, and for all these things. And now, what's interesting about this is you always hear that the pretext of these corporations is to give maximum value back to the shareholder, right? And
Yeah.
they're always trying from the top down, trying to squeeze every penny they can out of the workers and out of the employees. And yet, why did they have to fly over for these public junkets in five-star hotels or for their meetings? Can't they just do it over the internet and teleconference, right? Must they have
they
these
can, but it's not as
legion of
much
jets
fun.
for their private meetings? Right. So I'd like to refer, before I go, to an excellent article on this issue. It's by Bertrand Russell. He's a socialist, and the article is In Praise of Idleness. And he really does point out, we love to look down on the poor, like working man or the bum who is living a life of leisure or not working. Remember, there's a whole class of elite wealthy people who are not working,
Yeah.
live lives of leisure, and they're just as parasitic to society. What have they contributed, right? What have they done for the good of mankind? Nothing. And if anything, with the way the liberals talk about global warming and reducing our CO2 outputs, I mean, these wealthy people in their giant houses and their mansions, I mean, if you're going to talk about restricting CO2 consumption, Al Gore, isn't he like one of the first ones to go after, like with their carbon footprint?
Oh yeah, I mean, somebody calculated his carbon footprint, and it's quite large, especially with that new oceanside house out in California that he's got.
Yeah, and likewise with Leonardo DiCaprio, he comes out there being against global warming, and yet he's got a yacht. And so, class warfare works both ways, right? And I don't believe in being a sucker and just letting the elite gang up and beat up on the working class to push their wages down. So when I hear about this so-called socialists like Bernie Sanders struggling to raise the wages of like those poor people who serve you your hamburgers, who work behind the checkout at your local grocery stores, and you're going to tell me that it's some kind of immoral thing for a Bernie Sanders to try to even though he's a bit of a hypocrite, fine, but at least he's trying to raise the wages of these poor common people struggling in their low-wage jobs and try to raise their standard of living. And I say bravo to those out there trying to push the minimum wage up to reasonable levels. I think $15 an hour, try to get that up there over the next few years, is totally reasonable, decent thing for Americans to do. On that note, thank you.
Well, I agree with you. We've got to create an environment in which the American people, and I stress the American people, can trade their labor and their skills for decent wages and salaries, then take that money down to the shopping malls and buy the products that are being built by the companies that they work for. That's just common sense.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole Henry Ford argument back in the day, Yeah. All right. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Thanks a lot. We're going to let you go. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. And getting on back to the economic news here. Out in California, along with all the other problems they're dealing with, their economy is starting to decline significantly. And I mean, California is the center of the far left, which takes the position that even illegal immigrants can hold a position in government. They support sanctuary cities. They are a major part of the new Green Deal initiative. Berkeley, California banned natural gas, which is a clean fuel, requiring homes to be powered by solar and electricity that is normally twice the cost of natural gas. Then they hired a guy to enforce it and gave him a salary of $273,000 annually to start, plus pensions. Now, the state is mandating that beginning next year, every new home must have solar panels. So the cost of a new home just went up by at least $10,000. Higher home prices, higher electric bills, fewer choices. And the claim logic behind the Berkeley ban maintains that they can help the planet and reduce carbon emissions by eliminating natural gas and switching to electric heating and cooking. This is erroneous since the electric grid is primarily powered by fossil fuels. That's how liberals like to think. So they're in trouble out there. And I know when Claire and I first started talking about moving back to the mainland, we briefly talked about California and said no, because we still have family and friends there. But no, we're going to go to Indiana here. There is apparently a concern that Iran has managed to smuggle enough oil out there into the world where it could have an impact on the oil markets. They think that there are millions of hidden Iranian barrels set to hit the oil markets, will drive the cost of oil down, which is good for you and I, of course, here. Apparently, there's a big argument going on over in Texas. Francisco Irwin Galicia is an 18-year-old living in Texas who has been in the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement for more than 3 weeks. The problem is he's a natural-born U.S. citizen. And so now you've got ICE and Border Protection. They've made this huge, embarrassing mistake, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do about it. But the kid's got an attorney, and he's saying, look, there's all the documentation. He's natural-born. He was born at Parkland Hospital in Dallas. Now, Great Britain has a new prime minister. It's Boris Johnson. And already a lot of people are upset about that, and there's wailing and gnashing of teeth here. Ivanka Trump tried to congratulate him and said, basically, congratulations from Ivanka Trump for becoming the leader of the United Kingston. Got to watch out for those autocompletes. They can lead you to some tremendous embarrassment. All right, little story over here. This lesbian Democrat who previously told the media she was a doctor who helped remove bullets from the alleged victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, has now confessed she made the whole thing up for attention. She claimed she removed 77 bullets from something like 30 bodies, and she made it all up. The liberals like to fake things. They like to make up stories. So this Elizabeth McCarthy, an LGBTQP Democrat, former candidate for the Florida House of Representatives, has now been charged by the Florida Department of Health for pretending to be a cardiologist, which is a felony in the third degree that carries with it a penalty of $1,000 plus costs for a first-time offense. According to reports, McCarthy was recently served with a cease and desist order for her crime, which prohibits her from telling anyone that she is a medical doctor. She's also the subject of a formal investigation into her wrongdoing that was launched on June the 15th, which aims to prosecute her to the full extent of the law. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, McCarthy told the media that it was an honor to be in the medical field, even though she'd never been in the medical field. I love what I do, she further stated, adding, I love helping people and giving better options to people. That's the best way I can say it. And when asked about what she supposedly did to help following the event, McCarthy claimed she had personally removed 77 bullets from 32 victims, working like an assembly line, saying it was probably one of the hardest things of her career to work through. And now we all know it was a complete fabrication. Just made it up. Just made it up. I guess when you're a liberal and you go to university and you get that much in debt and you wind up with an art history major degree, you might be tempted to sort of puff yourself up by saying, well, I'm a doctor or I'm an engineer. All right. Even far-left Princeton professor Peter Singer agrees philosophers should not be censored by university officials for expressing views about sexuality and gender identity that go against the prevailing leftist orthodoxy. Well, what about the rightist orthodoxy? Anyway, in an open letter published on Inside Higher Ed, top scholars from Oxford to Princeton agreed academic thinkers and members of the broader swath of society should be allowed to discuss controversial matters pertaining to sexuality without fear of reprisal. Yeah, we should. It's called the First Amendment. The scholars argued that censorship should only come if someone is directly inciting violence against a group of people. Death to cockroaches. We, all scholars in philosophy at universities in Europe, North America, and Australia, oppose such sanctioning. The proposed measures, such as censuring philosophers who defend these controversial positions or preventing those positions from being advanced at professional conferences and in scholarly journals, violate the fundamental academic commitment to free inquiry. Moreover, the consequent narrowing of discussion would set a dangerous precedent, threatening the ability of philosophers to engage with the issues of the day. So thank goodness somebody's putting up a fight to get back freedom of speech for the LGBTQ community. Too bad we don't have it for Israel. Oh, here we go. David Tinley, 62, and lives in a city near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, apparently pled guilty last week to planting logic bombs inside spreadsheets he created for Siemens as a contractor. And for his crime, he faces up to 10 years in prison, a fine of $250,000, or both. So this is a story that I'm hoping there's going to be a follow-up on. Apparently, a man was killed in San Francisco after a Tesla ran a red light and crashed into tourists. Now, it looks like the car had been under human control at the time. Investigators said the car was doing at least 45 miles an hour when it entered the intersection. And apparently it was a two-car accident. The Tesla hit a pole and then was T-boned by a Mini Cooper. And the Tesla was being rented out by its owner using the Get Around car sharing app. And I've seen these commercials on TV for renting other people's cars. I would never do that for this very reason. Anyway, the woman driving the Tesla was reportedly speeding and ran a red light, police said. Apparently they got it on surveillance footage. And after the accident, the Tesla hit two pedestrians walking the crosswalk. So poor Tesla can't catch a break. Now this is really kind of cool. The world's first light-blocking glasses have been created to make the wearer unrecognizable to even the most advanced facial recognition software. The pioneering Reflectasees, I think it's an eye repair, act as a shield to make it impossible for smartphones or CCTV cameras to capture your identity. They do so by turning the eye area black and invisible to any form of technology, reflecting infrared beams from any source, and subsequently distorting facial data. They look a little heavy and clunky, but if you want your privacy, they could be a good way to go. I remember we had an advertiser many years ago that was selling these baseball caps that had infrared emitting, light emitting diodes in the brim. And you just hit a little button and it would throw the beams out there and it would blind any security cameras out there. It wouldn't be able to see your face. And I remember that because I stumbled across them while packing the other day. Getting on back to Elon Musk and his vision for the Hyperloop. Apparently, in order to get some better ideas, he's actually held a contest. It's 2019 SpaceX Hyperloop Pod Competition. Student teams launched prototype pods through a 1.2 kilometer vacuum tube next to the SpaceX headquarters in California. The winning team reached a top speed of 463 kilometers today, just before it exploded. So a little bit of a whoopsie there. And yeah, all right, so we're going to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And watching up on TV, everybody's speechifying and going after Biden. Anyway, we're talking about the world of computers, and apparently MSISoft has come out with a free Lucifer ransomware decoder. So if you get infected with Lucifer, do not pay the ransom and instead follow the instructions and get the decryptor. The only problem with this approach is you have to have two computers. You've got to have the one that's been ransomed and hijacked, and then you need the second machine to go on out and find the tool to decrypt it for free. But I think these days a lot of people have a lot of computers, and we certainly do here, and that's something else I have to get rid of a lot of. Okay, the Raspberry Pi 4 is out, and for those of you not sure what I'm talking about, the Raspberry Pi, spelled Pi, is a single card computer. They are very popular. They are very small, very inexpensive. A lot of people are using them for single card controllers, and they come in a variety of models. There's the Raspberry Pi Zero, which is the low-end small one, and we're going up to the Raspberry Pi 3, which is very capable. They're Linux machines, by the way, and they come with compilers and the libraries and everything, so you can write your own code. So the Raspberry Pi 4 is out, and to nobody's surprise, it's getting hotter than the earlier versions. It is being sold as a viable general purpose PC. In other words, this little box is supposed to replace your desktop PC completely. I mean, the 3 can do it if it breathes hard. But so it overheats in normal use. And a lot of people are wondering if the case should have a fan. A lot of people are saying it shouldn't even be run in the case because of the overheating, and that it possibly should have a heatsink. Software engineer Martin Rowan has looked at in detail at Pi 4 temperatures and concluded it is too hot to use enclosed. And one of his complaints is that the official case remains a fanless design, which will not work out with the increased thermal load. But apparently the new Raspberry Pi 4 is running 80% hotter and more than 100% hotter when the 4K display support is enabled. Alrighty, along with wanting to plug people's brains into computers, Elon Musk wants to mount a project that will make computers smarter than humans, and apparently Microsoft is interested enough that they're going to invest $1 billion in this AI startup. And I got to admit, Elon Musk, I mean, you know, Tesla is a disaster waiting to happen. SpaceX is great. Now he's trying all these other ventures. I think he sees himself as a true Renaissance man. But they want to build an AI computer that is smarter than humans, from which I'm going to guess that they're talking about a general AI, that dream of computer scientists, a general aware sentient AI like HAL 9000 or Vicky or Skynet. Apparently somebody has figured out that Facebook, when you upload a photo, it embeds tracking data inside the photos. And apparently this expert, Eden Jesipovic, basically saying he'd noticed a structural abnormality when looking at a hex dump of an image file from an unknown origin, only to discover it contained what I now understand is an IPTC special instruction. Now, the IPTC special instruction sets technical, actually the IPTC, International Press Telecommunications Council, sets technical publishing standards, including those for image metadata. And so basically, Facebook is embedding these hidden codes onto every photo that is uploaded to track who sees and shares your photos online. It's a shocking degree of tracking, and apparently they can potentially track photos outside of their own platform because it's a standardized code. Okay. And we're coming up here on another commercial break, and we'll be right back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hi, this is Matt Ray for MySleepAllNight.com, and most of us don't even realize that almost all of the healing, learning, and rejuvenating that happens in our body happens only when we are deeply asleep. Now, if you have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep, it's likely you never consistently achieve that crucial level of deep sleep. Deep restorative sleep is the key to health, mood, productivity, longevity, memory, you name it. So many health benefits. To experience what deep sleep feels like, try the new dietary supplement Sleep All Night, formulated by scientist Kurt Hendricks. And sleep like your life depends on it because, let's be honest, it does. Head on over to MySleepAllNight.com. That's MySleepAllNight.com. Enter the promo code RADIO for 20% off your purchase. Again, head on over to MySleepAllNight.com. Enter the promo code RADIO. That's MySleepAllNight.com.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And I was just looking at the Fox News feed, and they're pushing the Maduro is sending death squads out to murder his own people. Why would he do that? He needs them. I mean, it's more Saddam nuclear weapons and Assad sarin gas. So it looks like Venezuela's back on the front burner for to be invaded here. Okay, now apparently U.S. Attorney General William Barr is saying that we Americans should accept the security risks of encryption backdoors. Yes, some criminal could get into your computer and get all your financial information, but really you should accept that because we, the government, need to get in there when we need to get in there. Now, as I've already demonstrated in this article I wrote, Rivero challenges the NSA. It's possible to create nearly unbreakable encryption that the NSA can't crack. Over the course of a year, I issued 6 challenges. Not one was ever solved. So you might want to look. I'll put that article up the next time we have a commercial break here. Ebola has been declared an international emergency, but they're still going to keep the borders to the Democratic Republic of the Congo open. There have already been a couple of incidents of people crossing that border. I think they're playing with wildfire over there. This is a nasty strain of Ebola. It's got about a 65% lethality rate here. The other day we were talking about the study that was done in Finland that basically showed that humans were not the villains when it came to global warming. And what they observed is that the temperature of the Earth had increased 1/10 of 1 degree centigrade over the last century, and that humans had contributed 1/100th of a degree to that number. So we aren't the major problem. Well, there's another study, and scientific reports published from Northumbria University, the University of Bradford, the University of Hull, as well as Azerbaijan's Nasser al-Din al-Tusi Shamak Astrophysical Observatory. The authors are claiming the increase in global temperatures that by 1 degree centigrade was due to natural solar cycles, as well as the sun's movement around what's called the barycenter, the center of mass in the solar system. The paper claims that by the 27th century, temperatures might increase by 3 degrees centigrade. So again, no runaway catastrophic global warming, humans not to blame. But there is an issue that we need to look at, and that's the grand solar minimum. And the question is, what kind of impact is it going to have on the global harvest? I mean, we're already into a situation where we're looking at food shortages for the rest of the year. And we're seeing holes on the shelves down at the supermarket, especially for canned vegetables. But if we add on top of that extreme cooling in the northern latitudes, southern latitudes, a shorter growing season, it could get very, very serious here. Needless to say, the liberal lawmakers took advantage of last week's heat wave to ramp up the climate change hysteria and insist that we have to buy carbon credits, pay carbon taxes, allow an environmental authority to control our lives. Well, you know, liberals, take a look at what you've done with San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago. We don't want you running our entire country. We don't want you running our lives. Not when you have a record of failure like that. Oh, this is a fun one. Okay. Out in California, there was this priest, and he has been arrested for stealing more than $97,000 in parish donations. Apparently, he got into a car crash, and cops discovered security bags stuffed with money in his vehicle. So Father Oscar Diaz of Resurrection Parish in Santa Rosa got into this car accident. He suffered a hip injury, and as cops came to his aid, they discovered $18,000 in stolen parish collections in his car. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. You know, I seem to remember there was this 10 Commandments thing. I think when I left my childhood church in Loudon, they gave me a bookmark that was made up with it. Of course, unfortunately, it didn't agree with the version that was in the Bible. Probably a lot of people don't know that. There are multiple versions of the 10 Commandments, but I do remember that there was one that specifically says, "Thou shalt not steal." And I'm sure this priest is saying, "God knows I'm sorry." Name dropper. All right, this is kind of a bizarre story, and it's coming out of IntelliHub. A new and possibly engineered tick species has popped up out of the blue and is spreading across the United States like wildfire. The tick has been identified as Haemaphysalis longicornis, otherwise known as the Asian longhorned tick, and it's already made its way through 8 northeastern states. Well, if this thing is engineered, are we looking at a biological weapon, a weapon of environmental or agricultural sabotage? I mean, the technology definitely agrees, but this tick species threatens the livestock and the human population here in the United States. Just weird stuff. Weird stuff. Alrighty. Apparently, the world's best facial recognition AI systems are still struggling to tell black people apart, particularly women. It was way too soon to put those out there. Okay. Apparently, a crowd-funded spacecraft unfurls its solar sail in a milestone bid to be the first satellite propelled by light from the sun. And so this mylar sail, measuring roughly 1/5000th of an inch thick, has successfully deployed in orbit in what could prove to be a major step for low-cost satellite propulsion. The Planetary Society launched its LightSail 2 spacecraft aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket at the end of June in the hopes of putting the first ever sunlight-propelled craft in Earth orbit. The craft consists of a CubeSat, roughly the size of a loaf of bread, and the now unfurled solar sail that stretches to more than 18 feet wide. I imagine it's going to be pretty easy to spot here. Now that the sail is open, it will have to prove it can really pull a small spacecraft using only the power of the sun. The goal is to raise LightSail 2's orbit by a measurable amount, showing that solar sailing is a viable means of propulsion for CubeSats. Okay, apparently Netflix is having some issues. Anyway, we already talked about the security risks here. Somebody sent me in Al Gore's carbon footprint hypocrisy. He's living in a 20-room, 10,070 square foot colonial-style mansion, consumed an average of 19,241 kilowatt hours per month, more than 21.3 times that of the U.S. household average of 901 kilowatt hours monthly. Last September alone, Gore's home in the Tony Bell Mead section of Music City consumed 30,993 kilowatt hours, as much energy as a typical American family uses in 34 months. In the 12-month period from August 2016 through the end of July, Gore burned through 230,889 kilowatt hours of electricity, including 56 kilowatt hours just to heat the swimming pool. That last part alone is enough to power 6 average U.S. households for a year. So yeah, it's all hypocrisy and double standards. Somebody wrote this article here, this is Patriot Rising, saying, if progressives really wanted to reduce carbon emissions in America, they would cut off power to their own filthy liberal cities. And yeah, But again, it's not real. It's just one of the numerous hoaxes played on you by the liberals to get you to do what they want you to do. The Russians hacked Hillary. Humans caused global warming. The fireflies are going extinct. Anyway, out in Arizona, there was an attempted carjacking, and the victim was a teenager, but it turns out teenagers in Arizona are allowed to carry. And the perpetrators in this attempt made a poor choice in the victim selection process, and for the man carrying a knife, it was a life-ending one. So, over in Dunedin, Florida, we've had another one of these cases of a very abusive local government. And apparently this Christy Allen received a notice from the city in the mailbox last year telling her she owed them $103,000. And she assumed at first it was a scam. It certainly is a scam, but one being carried out by the government, and one she is legally obligated to pay or face the consequences. Her alleged crime to justify the fine, which is twice her yearly income, tall grass, and a dirty pool. So Allen's letter stated she had 2 weeks to pay the fine or she would be sued. Naturally, Allen could not come up with 6 figures in the 2-week time frame she was given, so now the city of Dunedin is suing her. The subsequent lawsuit could bankrupt the mother of 2 and leave her family homeless. All for tall grass and a dirty pool. Okay. We already talked about that here. So the latest budget deal provides an additional $320 billion in new spending. But come 2022, it completely tosses out the spending caps put in place in 2011. They're just spending like crazy here. Okay. Apparently out in Amarillo, Texas, along Route 66, the original Route 66, there is a place called Cadillac Ranch, and it's the one place where you can unleash your inner vandal because it's kind of a kitschy tourist attraction where you stop at a hardware store, houseware stores, and you buy some cans of paint, and then you get to this part, and there are apparently all these cars that you can paint words on, basically vandalize, all under the protection of the law. And apparently this roadside attraction sees visitors from all over the world. Well, let's be honest, it's an unusual activity. Here in Hawaii, a lot of the Japanese tourists come here to take advantage of the gun ranges. And there's a gun club in downtown Honolulu, right in the tourist district, right near the Pink Lady. And it's called, understandably, the Honolulu Gun Club, where for a fee, you can test fire guns. Now, they're on cable systems, so you can't point them the wrong way. But in Japan, they're not allowed to have guns, except these very well-made plastic ones. So this is their chance to actually fire a real gun. And for the Japanese, it's a real draw out here. Then again, of course, we have those gun ranges out in Nevada where for a fee you can fire a machine gun, which is something I've never been able to accomplish. So yeah, to each their own here. Okay, apparently Nancy Pelosi was giving a speech to the NAACP in Detroit and went back to stuttering. Apparently Ivanka gives her daughter a dog. Leftists viciously attack her for one reason. And The dog was completely white. That's why they complained. We're losing our thick skins. We really are. We've become such a nation of whiners, crybabies. Anyway, the latest poll is showing most Americans think reparations and free health care for illegals are bad ideas. I certainly would agree with that one. And we already talked about that U.S. citizen being detained for 3 weeks by Border Patrol. Okay. All right, let's see if something came in over at the email here. If you want to call on in, we're almost to the end of our program here. 800-313-9443. Okay. Oh, this one is just plain silly. We have another one of these gender activists just out there to cause trouble. Trans activist Jessica Yaniv is suing several business owners in British Columbia after the salons refused to give him a Brazilian wax. And the British Columbia Human Rights Tribunal will be hearing her case this week. At one point in the hearing, Jessica Yaniv compared the business owner to a neo-Nazi. And the owner told the court she was not comfortable waxing male genitals. And frankly, I think that would carry a certain risk with it. So again, it just... Oh, there's the music. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program today. And we're going to go right to the phones to Henry in Connecticut. Aloha, Henry. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. I want to make a quick comment about the thing I know you don't have much time, with the dog. But first of all, the dog is a beautiful dog, and it has blue eyes. I had a dog that had blue eyes. And her name is Winter. It's female. Her name is Winter. And it was a post on Twitter by Ivanka Trump. And me and a couple other people made a comment to this other woman there, because what her Twitter, this other woman's Twitter, to Ivanka, was saying is something about the dog. And then she said, does the dog know how to say Sieg Heil yet? And so then I said, I really didn't care, but I said, well, I don't know if the dog knows how to say Sieg Heil, but I bet you if he puts his paw up and says the Pledge of Allegiance, that'll make you sick. And then somebody else mentioned something about the Pledge of Allegiance too. So there was, it was just a very stupid, dumb comment. And then somebody was saying, well, maybe it's a purebred dog or something like that. And then I text back, and the other one texts back. And so what? So it sounds like they're trying to equate all this racial political correctness, which is S in the first place, and making this country F to begin with.
Yeah.
And equating it with the dog and Trump and all that. It's stupid, really. And the thing I find is weird is this, though. Here's what's very strange. They got another picture, Ivanka, where she's got this kid in a cage. I would want to adopt one, but anyway, she got this kid in a cage. It's one of these illegal aliens, right?
Right.
But it's like in a cage. And behind it is a flag, and it's the National Socialist flag. Now, it's not the Communist flag. And I'm sort of saying what's weird is that they're always pushing Nazi. But I noticed that you'll never, ever hear them push anything or have any flags or anything with the communists. And the communists killed way more and did far more damage than even the Nazis did. And it's really funny. It's like, well, if you're nationalistic, and I'm not condoning the bad things that Hitler and the National Socialists did, but the thing is, if you're nationalistic or care about protecting your country's language or whatever, then you're just horrible or worst thing you could be, because that's a link to that. Because what people don't understand is that even though Hitler became mad later on, the real reason why some of the people in Eastern Europe, especially the Ukrainians, supported Hitler, and what they do is they make this lie about, well, he went after all the homosexuals and all that. That's bull. Ernst Röhm and some of those high-level brown shirts were homosexuals, first of all. He didn't care. As long as they stayed loyal to him, and they were helping him get in power and protecting him, because they were used as bodyguards to keep protecting the communists, beating the National Socialists up in the 20s. That's why you had the brown shirts originally, okay? So as long as that was going on, Hitler didn't mind. Whatever, nobody cared. Now, at the end, there was some rumor, not a rumor, but actual legend in 1934 that Ernst Röhm and some of the brown shirts were trying to take over. And so then they came out and had the thing of the long knives with the SS and Himmler,
Okay,
and
well,
all
Henry,
that.
Thank you for the history lesson. I have to cut you off here. We have to let you go. It's the end of our
take care.
program.
Okay.
Please stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots and lots of interesting things to share with you. Please take what you learn here, share it with everybody that you know by postal mail, face-to-face, staff of social media. It's a vast wasteland out there. And please donate to Republic Broadcasting. Please donate to whatreallyhappened.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.
Yeah.